Hi guys, good evening to all of you. We've got a session on NMAT verbal. The session is a how-to session. That means we'll explore how to prepare for NMAT verbal. That's going to be the specific focus for the session. The different things that you've got to keep in mind, the sectional breakouts, the cutoffs, how should you reach there, etc., etc. All those things. So it's going to be a session which deals very specifically with this exam and very specific section of the exam as well. We don't have the overall exam in our perspective today. One specific section on how you should go about it and how you should prepare for it, right? So that's what we are going to do today. One kind request to all of you: whenever you type in a comment or whenever you ask something, please do that to all panelists and attendees, right? So that's going to make sure that everyone else gets the message, right? So let's get started, right? As far as the exam is concerned, guys, absolute basics for the exams. Most of you would know these basics. It's a 75-day exam. It's conducted over a window of 75 days. Starts generally in the first week of October. I think last time around it started on 4th October. So it's basically going to be your first exam of the season, right? So it starts right at the start. There is advantage in taking it first. Generally people see higher scores at the start, right? You can take it up to a maximum of 3 times. This is a clever scheme that NMAT people have. You can keep taking the test again and again and score, keep paying them and keep trying to push your scores higher. 3 sections: language skills, quantitative skills, and logical reasoning. These are the 3 sections. So basically English, maths and LR, right? 120 questions in 120 minutes. The biggest thing, there is no negative marking, right? And you get choices to select from in which order do you wish to attempt the sections. You get these preset formats. You can make a selection out of those. So those are some very basic examination basics, what the exam is about, right? Now taking this forward, the time breakup that you get, right? Language skills, you get 32 questions in just 22 minutes. Maths, 48 questions, 60 minutes. You can see per question the time has gone up. And LR, 40 questions, 38 minutes. There's almost parity here. So you've got greater than 1 minute here, less than 1 minute here, and almost 1 minute per question here, right? So that's your breakup of time in this exam. I think the biggest challenge with respect to language skills in this exam is this 22 minutes, right? So you are really pushed to cover the section within 22 minutes. It means you are rushed in the section. It also means that this is one of those exams where reading speed is important, right? It does play a role and you've got to keep it in mind. You've got to keep it in perspective, right? Now, if you keep overall exam analysis, right? It's an easy exam. So in terms of level of difficulty, it's not a tough examination. You get a lot of easy questions right through the exam, right? But you need to solve the questions in one go. You need to be in this mental framework where you are attacking questions one after the other consecutively, right? You cannot get stuck at any given point of time. There are far too many easy questions in each and every section. So just have absolute clarity with the topics that you've prepared. Once you have that clarity, you know what is it that you're going to leave, what is it that you're going to solve. So that's how you attack NMAT, right? It's a paper where you go on the offensive right at the start. One more brilliant thing in terms of its level, right? So generally, did you guys take CAT previously? Have you taken CAT previously? Anyone has done that? So for example, did you take it last year? So last year, CAT 2019, the verbal level went up, right? So in comparison to the previous years, it just went up a notch. It was a notch tougher, right? So there is this fluctuation of levels that you have in the exam. NMAT does one amazing thing in that sense that in terms of overall level and in terms of overall consistency, it more or less stays the same. So there is no real major surprise in the exam. You don't go and find an exam, suddenly the exam is very tough. Generally that does not happen, right? So that's something that does not happen in NMAT, and that is something that you have to keep in mind, right? Considering it's an easy exam, it's an exam where you attack, where you try to score well. That is something that you try to do in the exam, right? Next thing to keep in mind, the cutoffs for the exam. I'm taking up all these different parameters for one specific reason. We'll get down to the topic wise breakup of English, the English section in the next few slides. We'll jump there very quickly. So before we do that, we need to keep in perspective what is it that you are targeting. So you guys can see there is a target of 57 marks for the Mumbai campus. So that's the target that you've got. The basic call that you get is at around 209 marks in the last year's exam, 208 before that. Minor fluctuation, 57 and 60, 65 for quant, 60 for reasoning in both the years. So there is very little gap. Now in terms of safety levels, you should try a score of 209 plus, so 215 plus, you are pretty safe. Remember, you have to convert the call as well that you get, right? It's not only about getting calls, and 60 plus, 66 plus, 61 plus in the 3 sections individually, and you should get it through. Now who's going to do some quick maths for me? For 60 plus marks in English in NMAT, how much should you how many questions do you need to get right? What is it for 60 questions? The section is for total marks are 96 marks for the section, 3 marks per question. Quick guys, this is like mental maths. So you need to get 20. So realistically speaking, you've got to attempt something like 24 at least, right? 24 or probably 26. You have to assume that you'll get 3 or 4 wrong as well. Agreed guys? That's a fair enough number. So that's the minimum kind of attempt you have to be ready for. So now all of a sudden your framework, mental framework should be now, when you prepare for this exam, this is the level that you have to get to. In the first mock or practice test that you take for NMAT, you might not necessarily be there, but over a period of time you have to get there, right? That is something that you have to push yourself to be at. That's the level that you've got to push yourself for. Coming to now, this is where the class actually starts in a way. The general description is over guys. Now coming to the English portion, right? The breakup of these 32 questions. How many of you are aware of this breakup? How many of you know of this breakup? Asta does. Brilliant job, Asta. Anyone else? So 2 reading comprehensions, easy to medium, I believe would be a better representation, right? So 8 questions, 2 passages with 4 questions each, 4 parajumble questions. The bracket represents the breakup for 2018, right? So I put in the breakup for 2019 and 18 in the same slide, right? So analogies, you had 6 questions in 2019, 4 in 2018. Closed passage, how many of you know what a closed passage is and what analogies are? I hope all of you know what these question types are guys. Quickly, closed passage is nothing else. You're given a paragraph, right, and this paragraph has multiple blanks. So it's nothing else but a vocabulary fill in the blank question, absolutely nothing else at all, right? What are analogies guys? So you'll be given a pair of words, right? So for example, I am giving you a pair of words, for example, just give me any 2 words. We can relate any 2 words with each other, right? So for example, dogmatic is to rational. What is the relationship guys? So this is an analogy. Dogmatic is to rational. What would be the relationship? They would be opposite of each other, right? Similarly, biased is to prejudiced. My handwriting is terrible. There's no space as well to. So these are synonyms, right? So this is what your analogies are. So you get these different analogies. You are supposed to either complete the relationship or find out similar relationships. So can I say this? Pure vocab question driven by vocab. Another question, writing down V in front of it, it's another vocab question. Single fill in the blanks, that means you're given a sentence with 1 blank in it. You have to pick the right word. A meaning of a phrase or synonym antonym questions, 2 to 3 questions. Direct synonym or antonyms, identifying that, right? Fill in the blanks. These are 2 blanks. Either these would be based on vocabulary or grammar based, right? And Fill in the blanks with 3 prepositions. So for example, you will be given these sentences where you will have to identify whether to put in off, whether to put in, through, after, etc, etc. And then you will have spot the error in the underlined part. So this is a grammar based question. So if you look at the breakup, can I say this, that you've got 2 RCs broadly speaking, then you've got parajambas, then you've got a whole bunch of vocabulary based questions, and then you've got a little bit of grammar, right? So is that a fair assessment? So a little bit of grammar, lots of vocab, and 8 RC questions. So that is what your English language section looks like. Now can you guys, the analogy is close, the close passage is generally not too long. Fill in the blank questions, synonym, antonym questions, these are all questions that you can solve quickly. Also with a lot of these questions, either you know the meaning of the word or you don't know the meaning of the word, right? So that means you can skip these questions pretty fast as well. The time consuming part in the exam is the RCs. These are the 2 places, the 4 questions each, and occasionally parajumbles are tough, occasionally, right? So this is the time consuming part in the exam, and this is the part where you spend the maximum amount of time and you have to balance it out. Now the thing with NMAT is that great, you've got these 32 questions in 22 minutes. Asta again, vocab stuff depends a little, is on the relative scale as well, right? In terms of my focus here was not necessarily the level of words, but with vocab the thing is you either know the meaning or you don't, right? So in terms of time investment vis-a-vis an RC, the time investment is lower. So vocab is not easy, it's not a walk in the park. Mayank, generally this is by virtue of experience, right? Generally most people are not able to complete both the RCs in the test, right? So generally they skip one RC and finish rest of the exam. So generally that's how people do it, right? They pick the shorter passage or the passage where it's from an area that they are comfortable with. So generally that's how they go about it. That's how they reach 26 to 28 attempts, right? In any case, with vocabulary questions, even if you don't know the meaning of the word, since there is no negative marking, you should still attempt the question, right? So that is something that you should do for sure, right? So number of attempts, but then those are not genuine attempts. Those are, that's guesswork you're indulging in. Now, the thing is, NMAT, it also sneaks up on you in another manner, right? The logical reasoning section that it has, right? That section also has verbal ability questions, right? So the LR question, the LR logical reasoning section, it also has verbal ability or verbal reasoning in it. So for example, it has critical reasoning questions, strengthen, weaken, inference, conclusion, assumption, spotting, generally 6 to 8 of these questions, right? How many of you have solved syllogisms previously? So syllogisms, again, it's an easy topic, absolute must-do topic, right? Shubhanish, just let me finish this slide, then I'll take up your problem, right? So syllogisms, again, an easy question type. You guys have solved it, right? Decision making, any one of you has seen ZAT decision making previously? Anyone has ever seen a question of ZAT decision making? So basically what happens in decision making is it's a different form of reasoning. You are given a context, right? So for example, this year you will probably get context based on Corona and how the situation should have been handled. If someone was in the role of a decision making role, you are given 4 different options. You are a manager in a company. Should you hire people, fire people? Depending, you will be given this whole story. Now, NMAT decision making is far more easier than that. ZAT decision making is tougher, but a couple of questions. Then you've got these verbal reasoning questions where you try to figure out, you are given these, it's in a different format. Have you seen data sufficiency questions ever before, guys, in quantitative aptitude? Data sufficiency questions, you should have seen them, right? Where you are given the prompt and you are told that statement 1 is sufficient to answer, statement 2 is sufficient to answer, statement 1 and 2 both are needed, etc., etc. Similarly, in courses of action, strong weak arguments, implicit statements, you would be given a statement, right? So for example, if it's a course of action question, you would be given 2 or 3 lines, and then you would be given courses of action 1 and 2, right? And then you will be told, is 1 valid, is 2 valid, 1 and 2 both are valid, 1 and 2 both are invalid. Same thing with strong argument, weak argument. You will be given a statement, then you will be given 2 arguments. You will have to judge whether 1 is strong, 2 is strong, 1 is weak, 2 is weak, etc., etc. Same thing with implicit statements. So all these fall under verbal reasoning. Now, implicit statement, assumption, strong weak argument, course of action, these are topics that you generally never ever study for CAT. Right? These topics are not there. Next thing, these topics, if I'm not sure anyone would have prepared for banking exams, these topics are present a lot in Bank PO exams, in banking exams and SSC exam. That is where these topics are generally present, right? So I'm giving you a small clue as well where you can find these questions. So a lot of banking preparation websites would have these questions as well, right? So these questions, all these questions, generally you have 16 of such questions, 15 to 16 questions in total. In the logical reasoning section, these are actually based on English, right? And one more thing, these questions you can solve them far quicker than a logical reasoning set. So if you are good in this section, right? Now those preparing for NMAT generally ignore this section, right? They don't pay a lot of attention, especially this part. These topics, these 5 or 6 questions you totally ignore, you don't pay attention to them, you don't prepare for them. You should absolutely prepare for them. Why? For what reason? These are very easy questions in the exam, very doable. You can solve them quickly. These 16 questions versus 16 LR questions, trust me, you will be able to solve them in half the time. And also the critical reasoning in NMAT is of a very easy level. So for example, if you search for critical reasoning, which is the most common question bank that you come across online, guys, for critical reasoning, if you've ever searched it before, which is the most common question bank that you find? So you find a lot of GMAT critical reasoning questions available online. So if you solve some of those, you are actually sorted for NMAT as well as that, right? Those are of a very good level. So you should be pretty much sorted if you do those, right? So this is about the section breakup for the 2 areas where English is probed. So now English is not only these 32 questions, but these 16 questions also get added. So English effectively is 48 questions out of the whole paper, right? So that's a significant number of questions that you have to keep in mind for NMAT. Now, taking this forward, what is it that you need to do for different areas? RCs are generally 400 to 550 words each in NMAT. They feature a mix of easy and moderate questions. Most of them are easy and moderate. Occasional difficult questions, right? Generally they have feature 1 tone question, 1 primary purpose, 1 main idea question. These are big picture questions. Balanced questions are generally inference based, or they'll ask whether the author agrees with this, whether the author does not agree with this, right? Now the reading level required for this is easy to moderate. So if you guys ask me for an Indian newspaper which will do the job, Indian Express. So if you read it regularly, Indian Express, The Hindu, that level is sorted. That's the reading level required for this. Now assuming CAT, right, going back CAT levels, I assume all of you are preparing for CAT, right? So that's the basic minimum that you guys would be doing. So if you are preparing for CAT, assuming CAT is at 4 levels, right, of RC preparation, level 1 and 2 would mostly suffice for NMAT. Some level 3 practice and you should be sorted, right? So if you are preparing for CAT, just make sure that you are ready with your level 1, 2 and 3, leaving level 4 by October first week. So that is what you should be targeting. If you have done that, you guys are sorted for NMAT. You don't need to specifically prepare for NMAT RCs, right? We've had a session on reading, we've had a session on how to prepare for CAT. Those recordings are there on YouTube already. So please go through them, do those activities, follow those activities, and you should be sorted for NMAT, right? Nothing special required to do. Next part, this is where something special is required from your side, guys. This is where a special input is required. Before I actually go through the slide, guys, give me the meanings. These are actual words which have appeared in the exam, so I just took up some of these words, just wanted to check your vocabulary. So you guys are going to give me the meanings. Saturnine guys, quickly. Anyone knows the meaning? Without looking up the dictionary, you have to be honest here. Any one of you? Astha, Nikhil, Paras, Mayank, Ritisha. Saturnine is gloomy. So when you are sad and gloomy, right? Expostulate, anyone? So when you expostulate, what do? You try to convince the other person, right? You try to reason earnestly, with very honestly, you try to reason with another person and try to convince them that yours is the correct viewpoint, or what the other person is trying to do is not correct, right? So convincing others of the fallacy of their argument and convincing them that your argument is the correct one. Exculpate, guys, exculpate. Shubnish, great. Mayank, terrific. Free from blame, absolve someone from something, right? In basically pronounce them not guilty, right? So that's exculpate. Whimsical is easy. Whimsical is the easiest word in this set, right? So whimsical, guys. Unusual desire or behavior, Anmol. Something else for whimsical. So this is when it is desired by easy meaning would be moody, right? It's desired by your whims, your moods, right? Astute is clever. Astute is being clever and wise, right? Marked by shrewdness. Shrewdness in a positive way, not in a negative way, right? So when you are clever, when you are practically intelligent about a situation, right? So that is astute. Lackadaisical. Lackadaisical is, Pranta, not fickle. Lackadaisical. Lackadaisical, dull can be a word. So when you lack liveliness, right? So the lack is the clue in this case. So you lack. Easy way of remembering this is lack life, right? So that means basically you are trying to tell yourself the person is not lively, they are dull, they are sluggish, they don't quite have energy. Instigate is easy, it's an easy word in this set. Is to provoke, right? So now this is the cluster of 8 words taken from a particular exam, right? Or sorry, 7 words, 7-8 words. You can see that 3 or 4 of these words were challenging in nature. All the words were not challenging, right? But 3 or 4 were definitely challenging in this set. Now what is it that you have to do? These are the question types, guys. Synonym, antonym, closed test, fill in the blanks. Fill in the blanks based on prepositions. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to do any preparation, right, at all. Now which leaves you with what is it that you should do for NMAT verbal. Guys, I'm sharing 2 links with you guys to begin with, right? I'll just share a couple of links with you guys. A couple of free resources. Refer to these free sections on Word Pandit. NMAT vocabulary questions also have confusing words, right, at times. So these are 2 sections that you should save and you should learn words from. These are absolutely free to use. So you can use these 2 sections. A, for learning words. This is thing number 1 that you can do. Thing number 2, there are 2 books that I recommend for vocabulary, right? Word Power Made Easy by Norman Lewis. I think everyone has it, or most people have heard about it at least, or most of us, we have the book, right? Word Power Made Easy, guys, you have the book? Sure, Asta? And the second is 6 Weeks to Words of Power, right? So these are 2 books. This is by Wilfred Funk, right? This clubs words in clusters of 10, 12, 15 words. Word Power Made Easy is based on word roots, right? 6 weeks to words of power, it clubs words on the basis of some themes, right? The problem with Word Power Made Easy is, guys, and this is a genuine problem that most people face, generally you start reading the book and then you quit it in the middle, right? Especially the portion where it starts with professions of people, right? So that's roughly from session number 8 to 15, 16. So those 8 or 10 sessions are very, very boring, and most of us quit the book when we reach that particular section of the book. Two ways to beat it: either you skip this portion and cover it right at the end, or there is a second way of covering Word Power Made Easy. Whatever you studied from the start, great. Now start from the end, right? One session a day, start from session number 47, move in reverse order, and you'll be able to cover it, right? 6 weeks to words of power is, according to me, my personal favorite, right? It's far more interesting. I find it far more interesting than Word Power Made Easy. These are groupings of 10, 12, 15 words each based on a common theme. Hence, it's easier to remember as well, right? In our Word Pandit course, we are covering these two books with the help of revision notes, revision tests, revision videos. So those are things that we are doing in our course. We assign them as part of our homework, right? So that's something that we do. Irrespective of the fact whether you are part of the course or not, you can use these two books to wonderful effect. See, the point is, not all of us like to study from word roots. So that is something that you have to identify. If you find word roots to be boring, then straight away jump to 6 weeks to words of power, right? If you can cover both these books and you cover the Word Pandit free vocabulary sections itself, these three in itself will take you a long way in helping you prepare, right? Obviously the course has additional benefits, but these three sections would also take care of it, right? So these are things that you should refer to for vocabulary. One more thing, I recommend this to everyone, irrespective of how you are preparing. Every day set yourself a daily limit of words. So for example, it can be 10 words, it can be 7 words, it can be 5 words a day. Generally more than 10 is tough to remember. Make flashcards for these, guys. So make your own flashcards. How do you remember these words? You write down the word on the front side. So you can pick up a pocket diary for this, and at the back, on the back side, you write down the meaning. You write down one short sentence example and a couple of synonyms for the word, right? So this is how you make a diary, and at the end of the week you revise your diary. So for example, you noted down 10 words a day for 6 days, 60 words. On Sunday you don't note down any words, you revise these 60 words. So you keep doing this over and over again. Next Sunday you don't revise 60 words, you revise 120 words. At the end of the month you revise 240 words. Probably then you can take a break for a week and just focus on those 240 words and making sure that they are revised and you remember them. So that's how, by this repeat process, you learn words. Anmol, you've got lots and lots of books where word lists are given. I am personally not a fan of word lists for the simple reason that how would you learn a word list? So those are just word lists which have been given, right? So there is, at the end of the day, remember guys, you need a memory hook. It needs to get hooked on to your memory, right? Either by virtue of an example, by sentence, by synonym, antonym, something needs to happen, right? So that is required. That is something that you need to do. Next thing in mind, guys, the reasoning section. I'm giving you very, very simple targets. Parajumbles, these are with options. How do you prepare for them? You go through the concepts for parajumbles, right? Plus you solve 200 questions. 200 questions and you are sorted for parajumbles with options for all exams. Critical reasoning, decent level, 200 questions you need to solve for it, right? I'm giving you a thumb rule here, right? Just a ballpark figure to practice. Syllogisms are super simple, 50 odd questions, 50, 75 questions, and you should be sorted. Verbal reasoning questions, you can go for banking examinations, right? And decision making, just cover it for ZAT. Just couple of weeks spend on ZAT decision making content and you should be sorted for NMAT. This is how you prepare for NMAT reasoning. You don't prepare for it directly, right? You prepare for it indirectly. Critical reasoning you solve for ZAT and other exams, decision making for ZAT and other exams, parajumbles you solve in general, and by doing that you end up preparing for NMAT as well, right? So you can in fact save your effort, right, by doing this. So you can save a lot of effort by doing this. Last but not the least, NMAT grammar. These are mostly part error questions, 3 to 4 questions, topics that they generally probe you on. They probe you on errors for nouns, pronouns and parts of speech. For example, the correct uses of adverbs and adjectives, good or well, etc, etc. Subject verb agreement features heavily. Modifiers and parallel structures to a smaller extent. Articles, punctuations and verb tense errors. So these are the basic errors that you have to be careful of. The level of questions is not tough. So if you've got your basic grammar in place, you can even solve one of these questions just on the basis of your reading skills, right? So it's not very advanced in nature. There is a book by the name of Better English by Norman Lewis, again the same author as Word Power Made Easy. So that does a great job. Obviously our course, the basics, so basically you cover parts of speech and all these error types. In our course we obviously cover those. So you cover these plus Better English and you should be sorted for NMAT grammar. You should be sorted and you should be easily able to solve these questions. Not tough questions at all, right? Strategy for the exam. Remember, there is not enough time to solve 32 questions. That's where the biggest challenge is. You can skip one RC, take 30 seconds, try to decide whether to invest time or not. Target 23 to 26 questions. As time goes on, push it slightly to 28 questions, 29 questions in the mocks that you are taking, right? Mark as many as possible. Negative marking is not there, right? RCs are generally in the middle. Do not get stuck on them, right? Do not get stuck on them. That's where NMAT verbal goes for a toss. Verbal reasoning is super important. Don't ignore it. Absolutely prepare for it, right? So that's the simple basic strategy. If you think about it, guys, if you keep the overall perspective of the exam in mind, what is it that you specially need to prepare for NMAT? I think the maximum amount of energy is vocab. So if you prepare for vocab, you are sorted for NMAT. So that's the one area. RCs, reasoning, you prepare them for other exams as well. So you're not specifically focusing on NMAT only. So only for NMAT, the biggest area, the biggest challenge is vocabulary. So that is something that you spare. You give yourself some daily time, carve out some daily time and try to focus on that, right? We run a course, guys, the Ultimate VARC course. In that course, we take 3 to 4 live lectures a week. There are a total of 75 sessions. We provide daily reads. We give you 4 links with summaries, a passage analysis PDF, a daily RC, right? So that's something that we do on a daily basis. We give you 5 daily reading suggestions from Indian newspapers as well, right? 1000 plus RCs, providing all kinds of different practice material. That is something that we do as well, right? Videos covering all sections, so reasoning, grammar, vocabulary, RC, right? So these are all different things that we have. Section tests are backed with explanations, right? And yep, Pranshu, these are going to be sufficient. We do it in a lot of detail, right? So we've got question banks for all topics. We've got reading materials, topic wise RCs. We've got a discussion board for the complete course material. You can post your doubts as well, and it's a mentored course, it's a guided course. We've got a WhatsApp group for facilitating student interactions, right? Basically it's a course based on the principle of you read, analyze, put in the hard yards, you read, analyze, practice, repeat that process, right? So that's something that you keep doing on a repeat process, right? So that's something that you can do. Pranshu, part of the course, right? So I'm the trainer and mentor for the course. I connect with all students. So that is what I do. Mayank, sectional cutoffs. We had a slide at the start of the class. So these are the sectional cutoffs, right? So 55, 65, reasoning 60, total 209, right? So these are the cutoffs that are there. Shubnish, can you repeat your question? What is the challenge that you are facing? I'll just take up your question for sure. Can you just repost it or explain it in greater detail? Anyone has any other doubt, guys, you can ask that to me. Asta, the first thing that you've got to identify is what is the reason for not improving in RCs, right? So there are two basic paths that you can divide your preparation into, right? You can divide your problems into. Either you have a knowledge gap, right? Now what does a knowledge gap mean? All of us, essentially speaking, the kind of passages that we get, philosophy, psychology, sociology, those are not the kind of things that we've ever read about. Most of the things that we've read about are in the Indian context and Indian politics and Indian business and economy, right? And all of a sudden we are out of our comfort zone. So you get a lot of these terms thrown at you, you get a lot of these alien topics, things that we've never read about. So what happens is your brain immediately shuts down. One, it reads all those things, it says, I don't understand this, right? And you start to you begin to feel that pressure, right? And your brain shuts down, it sends you the stimulus, this is too tough, I can't solve this. So that's one. Then the second problem is, this is knowledge gap and understanding, right? The second problem is that you cannot really understand the meaning of answer options, right? Now if you cannot understand the meaning of answer options, then what happens is, in that particular case, that's also a factor of A, your reading and your understanding, B, your vocabulary skills, right? So those are different things that you are struggling with. A lot of people come and say this to me, is that between A, B, C, D, we had these 4 different options and I was able to rule out A, B and C. A and D, 2 options I was not able to eliminate. Now if you realistically think about it and ask yourself, why were you not able to eliminate out of those 2 options? See, at the end of the day, it is basically your understanding of those options. Option elimination in English is nothing else but understanding what that option means. Now that understanding is further a factor of your language skills, whether you understand that language or not. Those language skills are further a factor of your vocabulary skills, how much you've read, how much do you understand language structures, what does an option communicate to you. So it's all interlinked to each other, right? So fundamentally, when you're trying to understand the meaning of an answer option, yes, there are a few tricks that you have to be careful of. There are a few things that are going to help you, right? But it's not that all of a sudden one day magic is going to happen and you'll start understanding everything, right? So there has to be gradually, over a period of time, you have to accumulate knowledge, you have to improve your vocabulary, you have to keep working on things, and you improve slowly and steadily. Shubnish, I have seen your question, I'm answering one by one, right? So then what happens is, now next thing, if you think about it, just imagine this. So over the next, say, 200 days or over the next 175 days, you read 4 articles a day, you solve 4 RCs a day. What is the amount of information that you consume, guys? Multiply it very, very simply, right? It's a very, very simple multiplication, right? So when you do that, you basically consume like 700 pieces of information here, 700 pieces of information here, right? Even if you do that, Asta, you do it regularly. When you do this, you consume 1400 pieces of information, right? Now, once you start consuming this kind of information, it all starts building up. The trick is to stay regular, to stay the course. Don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt the process. Make sure you stick to this process. VARC is a process-driven thing, right? Pranchu, when you join the course, we'll add you to a batch and assign you tasks for it. So you'll be assigned your weekly tasks. So you have to follow it along those lines. There is just a lot of content in the course. So we generally assign people tasks, right? Shubnish, if you are a beginner, where and all to start all these things, the first thing that you've got to identify is which all exams are you taking, right? So Shubnish, the first thing that you have to identify is which all exams are you taking. Then the next thing you do is you list down the syllabus for all these exams. Absolute basic simple stuff, right? What is your purpose? Where do you want to head to, right? Which are your target colleges? Have a fair estimation of that. Once you have a fair estimation of that, then you know these are the things that you should be targeting, right? So that's something that you have to do over a period of time. Take a week, identify, list down, you get syllabus all over the internet for all these different exams, right? that is something that you have to do. Saksham, NMAT does not focus on particular type of RCs. They are generally mixed. Don't need to worry about it, right? Level 1, level 2 for CAT and you are sorted. Anmol, RC retention, very simple thing to do for RC retention is whenever, sure Pranshu, just let me answer this question, Anmol's question. For RC retention, do one simple thing. We discussed it in the reading class as well. Please watch that complete recording. It's there on our YouTube channel. Just go search Word Pandit, Wednesday with Word Pandit. You'll get it, right? Now, para 1, 2, 3. These are the para 4. These are the 4 paragraphs in the passage. It can be any number of paragraphs. For every paragraph, ask yourself, what is the subject? What is the main idea of the passage? What of that particular paragraph? Try to form this mental skeletal, right? To begin with, do this for 1 or 2 articles a day, write it down, does not matter how much time it takes, right? Then start doing this activity mentally. One thing you have to understand, fundamentally, all of us, none of us can remember all the factual details in a passage. That is not humanly possible. What is it that we can do? We can build this skeletal, right? So, you just have to build the skeleton of knowledge in your mind, right? So that is something that you have to do. Pranshu, for any particular VRC course that you join, I generally don't get into the habit of comparing it with the others, but I'll give you a general scene of perspective of what VRC courses are. We started 3 years back. Saksham, no, it doesn't. 3 years back when we started Word Pandit courses, right? There were virtually no courses for VRC. All the courses are for QA and LRDI. Secondly, most of the online courses are made by or led by teachers who are actually QA and LRDI faculties who've added the VARC section, right? So that is what most people have done. Now, the thing is, I do it out of passion and love. Just go and read who's Word Pandit page. You'll get to know more about me, right? I do not believe in self-praise. I absolutely hate it, right? The fact of the matter remains, this is my passion here. So I start by giving articles, their summaries. I write down a motivational message. I write it down myself every morning. I push my students. I literally burn them to the ground, right? By giving them so much reading material. People have gone about and copied the things that we do, right? No one gave daily reads. I've been doing it for the last so many years now, right? Every course has them now. So we started with these daily reads, passage analysis, daily RCs. We started with topic wise reading. There was no such thing as topic wise reading, right? So we've added that, and these are things that we've done to make it as analytical as possible, right? Now what we've done is there are 2 parts to it. The reading part, the content consumption part, is still, at the end of the day, it lies with the student, right? You have to fulfill that. But if you are given curated content to read every day, if you are pushed every day to read, if you are pushed every day to analyze, if you are pushed every day to solve RCs, right? And if you are pushed to go through those loops, if there are videos which explain how is it that you should think, are those the things going to add value? Absolutely they are, right? So that is something that you have to do. That's extremely kind of Sahil. So the whole point is, the whole emphasis is the onus still remains on you, right? So that's what you've got to do, right? And if you do that, if you put in the hard yards, you will be sorted over the long term, right? That is something that is going to happen. So great, guys, great to have all of you here tonight, right? And lovely to see all of you here. We'll have the next Wednesday with Word Pandit session. I have not decided the topic for that one, right? But I'm thinking of doing something for working professionals, how they should plan their preparation. So that is probably going to be next Wednesday, right? Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for being here. Good night, guys. Great. Most welcome, Pranshu. Good night, all of you. Good night to all.